Peace and love, family. Peace and love. So I have been very interested in learning about how this whole money system works, and I've been curious to learn how it functions not only in public but in private. Because I heard a few years ago that the banks don't lend any money, that they are in the business of purchasing securities. When I first heard that, I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. But I got to the point to where I studied enough to get a better understanding, or maybe even overstanding of it. And I just want to present to you just what I've understood so far. And I'm just going to be like a fraction of everything, all the information about this topic. But in order to understand about this money thing, we have to understand that there's a public and a private. So money as a medium of exchange can be done publicly. When out in the public I go on and exchange paper money for goods and services. And it can also be done privately, between two private entities. We sit down and write an agreement, So there's private and then there's public. The monies of the private, it's called the monies of account. Money that goes in your private account. So if you're running a business, right, and what goes in your account is for your eyes alone. It's not for everybody to see, right? So those monies that goes in the accounts, those are going to be like assets, and you call them like bonds or stocks, but these are like properties, right? Certificates of titles and stuff like that. So money of accounts, that's private money. Money of exchange, that's what's happening in the public. So we're exchanging these different paper monies for services and goods, and those are like banknotes, the paper fiat currency, and then the drafts, those checks. So the interesting thing about it is that private money that goes in an account, those things can be agreements, and they can be private IOUs. I promise to pay you. Put it in an agreement. Hey, I promise to lease this place from you for a year. Oh, I promise to pay you for the next 5 years, certain amount every month at a certain interest. So that's going to go here as an agreement. And it's going to have a signature. Remember, your word is your bond, and this agreement is basically a bond. And this is a private IOU. Now the public one, the one that we exchange, that's a public IOU. That's the banknote, the paper money, and it is the obligation is now to the bank to fulfill its obligation, actually, to perform and to give us those credits, which these things. So if the banknote says $100, right? Have that, and you put it in the bank is supposed to put it in your account. So you grab this, put in the bank, goes in your account, and you get 100 credits. You put money in the bank, any paper money, and you'll see that your account will show that you have credits. This is money. This is money. When you sign this amount, let's say you got a $10,000 loan agreement, and this, you give it to the bank. Both of these right here, by just handing it over to the bank, is called a deposit, right? So when you add a banknote here of $100, you get 100 credits. When you have an agreement, a promise to pay, and that goes into the bank, the agreement of $1,000 gives you 1,000 credits. Both of these things are the same thing that's happening. It goes into your account, and you get credits. So now, what's happening here is that who's the owner of these accounts? Whoever the owner is of the accounts, they are entitled to those credits, right? So let's say this is John Doe, right? And then this is John Doe, right? So this account, if John Doe signs this, the credits are owed to him in his account, as long as it's well aware that he's aware that this is his account and he has all the rights to those credits. And if deposit it to the bank, he is entitled to the interest as well. Right? So then this right here, this positive value created by this, when it goes into the bank and it's accepted and you get credit, when it's withdrawn and you take it out and it comes out in the public, you get this. Private IOUs create public IOUs. So when we look at the bank note, every time the bank note goes into the bank and they put credit, where did they get that credit from? Those things here, these credits come from these different private accounts and private money. Private money is what produces these public money. So if you look at the definition of deposit, it is the act of placing money in the custody of a bank. Custody, think about custodial, think about trust. You're entrusting it to them, so they become trustees. In the custody of the bank for safety and even convenience, to be withdrawn at the will of the depositor. So when you sign an agreement, you sign a loan agreement, what happens is that went to the bank, but that was a private deposit. What's happening here, when you put banknotes in the bank, you're just doing a general deposit, public thing. Here you go, man. Here's the money put in my account, and they put it right here. So now you get your credits. But what both of these things are properties called securities. Let me see. Let me see if I can write it better. Securities. And securities are properties which are governed by certain laws, and it's basically the laws of negotiable instruments. And so this is when you look into these other governing bodies like the bills of exchange, the UCC, which are the Uniform Commercial Codes. So these two things here are properties. So if you put this in the bank and you claim it, it's going to be here as your property, as an asset, right? And it's not going to be assumed that you abandoned it, because if they assume you abandoned it, they'll give this banknote to somebody else, and what they call it is investment. They're investing this because they're going to trade it and trade it and trade it, and this is going to be traded over and over again. What do I mean by that? Because every banknote has a serial number, right? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you wanted, you can take this banknote and put it into a special deposits account. And this banknote that you give them, they're not going to give that to nobody else. They're going to hold that exact same banknote with that same number, and they're not going to give that to nobody else. They're going to hold that because you said, I want you to hold this for me. This is my property. Don't be giving this away, man. So they hold it. You can come back a month, 2 months, 3 years, whatever. They'll give you that same piece of property right there. That is your property. If you claim it, meaning you put your name to it, you attach your name to it. And this one right here, if you already have your name on this and you already signed this, because of your signature, that was the only thing that gave this piece of paper any value. If you were to take away your signature from this piece of paper, that probably won't have any value. So this right here is property which you have an interest in, and you're entitled to the benefits because that's your property. Now you got to claim it. Just like you can claim this, you got to claim this. You got to claim these things here if you want to claim it. Because if this doesn't get claimed, it's going to be assumed that you abandoned it. And then they can exchange it for somebody who is going to say, hey, you want to buy this? And I say, why would I buy this? Well, I don't think anybody owns this. So they're going to give you a lot of this. Right? So if you get this and you invest in this, in these bonds, they're going to be giving you a lot of this, and then you can use this if you want. All right, cool, man. Well, I'll buy these bonds right here. I'll buy these, certificates of title. So, but if you claim it, right, this is yours, then that means these credits, which were produced by this agreement, that's yours too. So it's like if you made a deposit. So let's say you go to the bank, you say, hey, bank, here is $50. Boom. They put $50. plus. Okay, here you go. You got credits now. The bank holds on to this. Then you have an agreement. Hey, I signed an agreement. Here you go, bank. Okay, they process it. Boom, boom. $1,000. There you go. $1,000. That's yours. You can withdraw that, use it. You don't have to pay it back. You can withdraw that, use it. You ain't got to pay it back because you didn't lend. They didn't lend you anything. What happened is you lent them something. You lent them a piece of property which they can do with their little magic in their securities exchange and their stock exchange. They do their financial magic and sorcery, and they can make this into some more profit because a lot of people don't understand public and private money. So what's happening here is that this private money goes here, and it can either be assumed that you abandon it or we abandon it, or to make a claim. Now we have to show proof that we own this. So how do you know, if John Doe wanted to prove that this is his account and he have rights, well, he would have to have a certificate of title of John Doe. Because John Doe is a legal entity. Well, who created this legal entity? Who birthed it? And who does it belong to? You know? So there's a certificate of title of John Doe, and that's called a birth certificate. Alright? But that birth certificate is also a stock certificate. So John Doe has legal rights and equitable rights to the birth certificate, which is a stock certificate. Now this stock certificate is an IOU as well from whatever company issued that stock certificate. So the birth certificate was issued by the company, government of Belize or whichever country, right? They are the ones who are claiming that they owe the registered owner, whoever is named in that piece of paper, they owe them an interest. So John Doe can claim the interest from this stock certificate, you know, and that's what you call an exemption. So this right here, these private monies create public monies, public liabilities, public debt, right? So I don't know if this makes sense to you, right? But if you want to learn more, look up things like modern money mechanics. Download and Google this Affidavit of Todd Walker. Look up publications like the the Uniform Commercial Code Scheme or the Uniform Commercial Scheme. There's so many other publications out there. You know, once you read the one of Todd Walker, and in that he also gives reference to other very good sources that I encourage everybody to look into and learn more about public and private money. So this is my take on it. Hey, this might be it, this might not be it. I'm not saying I know all of this. It's just my interpretation of it so far. It's very interesting. I always wanted to know how the hell did these banknotes come into existence? What gives it value? Where does the credit comes from? Where does the government or the bank get credits for this? It wasn't until I understood private side that it started to make sense. Alright? So, just the gist of it. Do with it what you want. Thank you for watching.